Now I'm going to show you the inner workings of the No Worry siphon and why it works the way it does. This is just a planter bucket shroud just to keep the water from shooting up, because you can see this cap that's on the bottom has holes pointing upward. And let's see if I can get it off. I have to be careful because a lot of these pipes aren't glued and the whole thing may fall apart. Okay. So we have a 2-inch U-siphon tube, a 3-inch by 2-inch bushing, a 3-inch cap. The 3-inch cap, I don't know if you can see that, has a tiny little weep hole in the bottom. Now that weep hole can be made to any size depending on your system requirements, but as long as the water coming out of that weep hole has a flow rate of less than the flow going into the grow bed, the siphon will start. Because if the flow into the grow bed is greater than what's coming out of the weep hole, eventually the water will build up in this cap, seal off the end of this pipe from sucking air, and allow my vacuum to work, which I guess I'm going backwards. I really should have showed that to you first. Let me backtrack a little bit. This would be representative of the pump in your sump. I'm just assuming that we're talking about a sump system here, but this could be adapted to an endless variety of configurations. This would be representative, this line here would be representative of the flow going to the grow bed. This line here, what I'm touching right now, would be the line going to the diverter going to the fish tank flow. In the fish tank we would have a venturi. Now this venturi is just a homemade simple little venturi that works extremely well. Let's see if I can pull it off. It was filled with polyurethane, drilled with a tapered step drill from both ends, inserted and glued a little 1/4-inch irrigation fitting. Now this tube would go to the fish tank. In the fish tank you would have a venturi which would aerate the fish tank as well. Now that venturi is creating a vacuum. The vacuum going in this line is going to the top of the U-bend. The U-bend, while the grow bed is filling and this cap is in place, the water in the cap leaks down to a level at least below the end of this pipe. When it does that, this pipe is sucking air through the venturi vacuum and aerating the fish tank. Once the water level in the grow bed rises above the bottom of the bend, water starts trickling down the downpipe of the bend and starts filling up this cap. Once the cap, as long as the inflow of the grow bed is greater than what's leaking out of the weep hole, this cap will eventually fill to a point that brings the water level in the cap above the bottom of this downpipe. When that happens, the vacuum tube of the venturi can no longer suck free air. The air that it's sucking is essentially a bubble that's in the U-bend. This side of the U-bend is filled solid with water, it's trickling over this side and dripping down to this side. Once this vacuum can no longer suck free air, it continues to draw air, but it's drawing air out of this bubble. This bubble continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until the vacuum line is no longer drawing air, it's drawing water. And if you were to look in the fish tank, you would see that the bubbles coming out of the venturi stop, because water is now being sucked through the venturi vacuum. When that happens, you have full flow of the siphon. When the siphon breaks from sucking air, the water in this downpipe goes down to a point, and eventually through the weep holes at the bottom frees the end of this downpipe to start sucking air again, allowing the venturi vacuum to commence blowing bubbles back into the fish tank.